Today on Awakening with Amy, how to free yourself from any unwanted circumstance and live the answer now. Welcome, I'm Amy Valentine, here to help awaken within you your mindset that you can be, do, and have any desire so you can live your ideal life. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Today, we're going to talk about how to free yourself from any unwanted circumstance and be suspended in the now moment, because that's where all the answers are. So before we get started, I just want to remind you that in the description below, there's a link to a free meditation and also a link to a free affirmation guide, and also a link to purchase a journal if you are interested. So anyway, let's get into the video. This was inspired by a session I had yesterday, and my client had this issue at work that sort of bled into her home life. And in a nutshell, I'll just summarize the situation and then we'll get into the video, the lesson today. So my client basically called me and scheduled the session because she was triggered at work. There was a couple people leaving her team. She had no idea, and her boss never told her. And then when she found out secondhand, she basically was telling me, she's like, I always feel so disrespected there. She's like, I always feel like I'm overlooked, that people don't come to me, they don't respect me. And she said, so I was so upset and triggered that I confronted my boss and told him, what's going on? Why haven't you kept me in the loop about this? I could have been more prepared. And he basically blew her off. And after that meeting with her boss, she called her husband, hoping to, get some support from him. And he blew her off too. And she said to me, what should I do about this? She's like, all I wanted to do was just quit, leave with no notice, and just move on. And I said, it doesn't really matter what you do. And I said, because you take yourself with you. So it's not about what should I do, how should I do it, when should I do it. It's about you. It's all about the who, and the who is you. And she was like, well, wait. She's like, no, I went into work and I was feeling really good that day. And then all this stuff happened around me that made me feel hurt and made me feel unloved and disrespected. And I said, well, no. I said, you were already feeling that way. And then it showed up as those circumstances, as those people. I said, that trigger, you being triggered, was showing you, is a messenger showing you an in harmony within yourself. A story you're telling yourself about yourself in relationship to work, to your husband, to the people, that you're not aligned with what you want. You're aligned with what you don't want. And that's what the trigger is there for. I said, you're resisting something. You're living in the past of always feeling disrespected, and you're recreating it in your present moment. I said, so the only thing you could do to free yourself from living in the past or trying to get to the future where you feel better is to harmonize your inner story, your thoughts, your feelings, your assumptions with what you want. Be motivated by what you love instead of motivated by fear or lack. Or I said, that trigger is another way that is showing you where you're trying to protect yourself from what you don't want, right? So I said, and make it about you, not about them. I said, life is a mirror forever reflecting back to us who we are being. That reflection, we're finding ourselves in the people around us and the circumstances around us. Otherwise, we wouldn't be triggered by it. Otherwise, it would just feel good. So it's a messenger. It's not a judgment. I said, that's the key. So let's read a quote. Today, we're going to read a quote from Florence Scovel-Shinn, and then we'll get deeper into the video. The robbers of time are the past and the future. Man should bless the past and forget it if it keeps him in bondage, and bless the future, knowing it has in store for him endless joys, but live fully in the now. Florence Scovel-Shinn. So what is she pointing at? She's basically saying that any unwanted circumstances is us living in the past or trying to get to a future, right? When we don't bless past hurts, past wounds, we carry them within us, and they reflect back to us and the people and the circumstances. So we start telling ourselves a story that I'm always disrespected. I'm always unloved. I'm always not supported. And that's what must show up. It's a reflection. So she's like, well, what am I supposed to do then? She's like, how am I supposed to tell a new story? I said, well, you have to focus on you, not them. Focus on what you love. Align your inner talking to your fulfilled desire, no matter what's going on around you. I said, agree that these unwanted situations are good. Make it a win-win situation. Now you're being motivated by that higher thought. You're being motivated by the love instead of the fear of getting what you don't want. I said, because when we're motivated by fear, then it's going to show up with people not appreciating us, people disrespecting us, et cetera, et cetera. And I told her too, I said, Neville Goddard has a really cool quote, and it's basically, we rob others of their willingness to be kind with our fixed attitudes of mind towards them. I said, so stop making it about them. Keep making it about you. You be the source of that respect instead of assuming that you're being disrespected because of some past event. I said, live suspended in the present moment. That's what the quote is really about. You must live suspended in the present moment, because that's where all your power is, in the now moment. That's the only thing that source energy, God knows, is the now moment. And it's pure unconditional love. So all our power is in love, not in fear. So it's creating that inner conversation consciously around the love of what we want. And then that vibration emits that signal, and it's like a magnet, and it just brings back all that aligns with that goodness, right? So when we live in the past or live in the future, wishing things will get better, that is how we become unfulfilled. When we are suspended in the now moment, now we get a do-over. Every single minute, every single second, we get a do-over. Live suspended in the now moment, in the love of my desire, knowing that a desire is a divine urge. It is a tremendous force, because that desire came to you from that higher you, from your soul, urging you to see more of who you really are, to open your perception. Everything happens in harmony with our perception of ourselves, of our self-concept in relationship to everything else. So if you have any disharmony within, it's going to show up without. And that's no big deal. If you keep reminding yourself that only power is right now. There is no power in the past. There is no power in fear. There's only power in love. And that love is thousands of times more powerful than any thought of fear, any thought of doubt, which is just coming from that personality structure, the ego. And when we stop resisting the ego, stop resisting the unwanted, and we're be unmoved by the appearances, then the appearances must move, because that power of love flows through us, as us, and must transmute any unwanted situation into what we do prefer. So when we have a desire, like I said, it's a tremendous force. It's literally God speaking to you. It's the word of God, Neville says, speaking to you, saying, claim it, be it, right? But when that desire is misdirected and we put that desire through a filter of lack, that I am not enough, I lack something, so I have to try to go get it, now we create that struggle, that inner turmoil, the chaos, right? And we're in the weeds of life and trying to look for a way out. How do I get respected? How do I get more love? How do I get more money? Versus being the source of it, assuming that it's already mine, that when I asked through that contrast, it's automatically given. But if I hang on to the past story, if I hang on to wanting to try to get something from the world, now I'm giving all my power away to a secondary source. And there is no secondary source. We make that up. There's only one source, and it's loving us. But when we put it through that filter of fear, we're being motivated by the ego through the lower thought. And now we can't align with our desire because we're aligned with what we don't want. We're resisting what we don't want. We have to agree to the adverse situation. Why? We're not agreeing with it and saying we're choosing it. No, we're agreeing with it and accepting it as one possibility because it's helping us clarify our desire. So often we don't make a decision. Decisions are powerful, right? But we stay undecided. And what pushes us to make a decision a lot of times is a very uncomfortable situation like my client. So by the end of the call, her energy, she moved. Her energy was lifted and she was really excited. I said, I just gave her a challenge. I said, for the next 3 days, I said, just for a few minutes, I said, 5 minutes tops, just imagine fulfillment. Imagine and perceive everything through the eyes of love, no matter what's going on. Resist the urge to try to do anything or fix anything. And I said, be still and know that you are the source of your reality because you're the only one that gets to say what everything means. You're the only perceiver. And you're the one that's writing your story, directing your story, acting in your story. So why not make every situation, every person that seems to be an adversary, a golden link in the chain of your good? And I said, that love of it, love of what you want will magnetize that love back to you. So that's how you free yourself. You decide, you make a decision to be motivated by the love of your desire instead of being motivated by fearing that you're not going to get what you want and trying to get and hang on to things. And it just doesn't work. You want to match your inner story, your inner talking, your thoughts and your feelings to fulfillment. How do you do that? You make the decision right now that my point of power is in the now moment. There is no power in the past. Leave it alone. There is no power in the future. You're waiting for a future that never comes. The only power is now. So be the source of that love, be the source of that fulfillment. And that will emanate out and magnetize all your fulfillment right back to you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking and sharing the video. That's how we get the message out there. Thank you for subscribing. And also, thank you for commenting. I love your comments. And until next week, see you soon.